Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into Aaga-Pichha, a really powerful and honestly tragic love story from the legendary Munshi Premchand. It tackles this timeless question, right? Can love truly conquer a prejudice that runs, well, as deep as blood? Let's find out. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1 is called A Mother's Redemption. And really, the whole story gets kicked off because of one mother's deep regret and her all-consuming love for her daughter. So the story opens with a woman named Kokila, and she is absolutely haunted by her past life as a courtesan. I mean, she has completely turned her back on that life, and now every single waking moment is about washing away what she feels is this stain on her soul. She's driven by one single powerful new purpose. And that purpose? It's her daughter, Shraddha. You see, the moment Shraddha was born, it just ignited this fierce, protective, motherly love in Kokila. There's actually a specific word for this in Indian culture, vatsalya. It's that unique, tender affection a parent has for their child. And for Kokila, this wasn't just a small change. No, this love completely reshaped her entire world, her whole reason for being. Kokila's biggest fear, the thing that keeps her up at night, is that society's brutal judgment will poison her daughter. In her eyes, Shraddha is this pure, almost divine soul. So what does she do? She basically raises Shraddha in a protective bubble, shielding her from the world and just pouring everything into nurturing her mind and her spirit. The hope is that intellect and pride can act as a kind of armor against all that prejudice out there. Okay, so Section 2, A Voice of Defiance. This is where we really get to meet the daughter, Shraddha. And, it's kind of ironic. She grows into this incredibly formidable young woman who's defined by the very isolation that was supposed to protect her. So Shraddha, she's brilliant, a total genius, but she's also a complete outcast, and her only real friends are her books. So picture this. She's at a local women's conference, and one speaker after another gets up and, well, they just don't really connect with the audience. On an impulse, Shraddha gets up, takes the stage, and just unleashes this speech, so brilliant, so passionate that it completely stuns the entire room into silence. And the reaction to her speech is, well, it's everything. You've got some men in the crowd whispering nasty things, that she's just a courtesan's daughter and she'll end up the same way. But then one young man, Bhagat Ram, he literally jumps to her defense, and he says these powerful words you see on the screen. He doesn't see her background, he sees her mind, her soul. And for Shraddha, wow, this is the first time in her entire life that someone who isn't her mother has seen her, has validated her worth. Hearing this defense from a total stranger, it's like a lightning strike. That man, Bhagadram, his words are the very first crack in that massive defensive wall she's built around her heart. So naturally, this brings us to the very heart of the story, the romance. And this isn't just any relationship. It's not built on convenience or status. It's built on a foundation of shared progressive ideals. Ideals that, you guessed it, put them directly in conflict with the world around them. Their connection, it just deepens so quickly into this really profound love. And what's so remarkable, especially for the time, is that this is a true partnership of equals. They're on the same wavelength with everything, their ideals, their intellectual passions, and this core belief that a person is defined by their actions, their karma, not by the family they happen to be born into. But, as wonderful as all that is, reality has a way of crashing down. When Bhagadam finally works up the nerve to tell his parents about Shraddha, the reaction is swift, it's brutal, and it's completely uncompromising. This quote you see here just says it all. It captures that unyielding prejudice perfectly. It doesn't matter one bit who Shraddha is as a person. All that matters to them is what she is in their eyes. So this is the crucial point, right? This is the fundamental clash of the whole story. On one side, you have Bhagatram and Shraddha's modern progressive belief in individual worth, in karma, and on the other side, you have society's rigid ancient belief that your worth is determined by your birth, by janma. This is the battleground for the entire story. And right here, this is where the story takes a really tragic turn. The battle, it starts to shift. It's no longer just an external war against society. It becomes something far more insidious, far more destructive, an internal war. Shraddha,
Believing with all her heart that love and service can conquer anything, she starts this incredible campaign to win over Bagatrum's parents. She moves in with them, she serves them with this unwavering humility and just genuine affection. And the crazy thing is, it works. I mean, it actually works. They are completely won over, they start calling her a goddess, and joyfully agree to the marriage.
It really seems like a fairy tale ending, doesn't it? Love conquered prejudice. The battle is won. But right at that moment, just as victory is declared, this strange, deep sadness starts to fall over Bhagatram, the one person who was supposed to be her greatest champion. He starts to get distant, quiet, sad. He's being haunted by this deep, unspoken doubt. And here's the tragedy of it. Even though his brain, his intellect, rejects society's prejudice, the poison of hearing those whispers his entire life has seeped into his subconscious. It's in there. And he starts to question. Can she really escape her blood? And this internal conflict, this tiny shadow of doubt, it just starts to grow and consume him, driving the story straight towards its devastating and truly unforgettable climax.
So, as the wedding day gets closer and closer, Bhagatram's mental anguish starts to become a real physical illness. His psychological torment turns into a fever, and then that fever turns into delirium. In his mind, he starts to see Shraddha not as the woman he loves, but as a threat, as the embodiment of the very corruption he's so afraid of. Finally, on his deathbed, with Shraddha right there by his side, he confesses. He tells her the source of all his torment. He admits that despite everything he believed, despite everything he said, he could never fully escape that insidious little voice in his head telling him that her blood would one day corrupt her, that the effect of her bloodline was simply inescapable.
Can you even imagine hearing that? Shraddha is just shattered. The one man she loved, the one person in the world who she thought saw her, ultimately didn't have enough faith. Her pride, which has protected her for so long, makes her turn and walk away. But in the end, her love is stronger than her pride. And overcome with regret, she turns and just races back to his side.
And in his very last moment, as she gets back to him, Bhagatram manages to lift his head and kiss her on the forehead. And he tells her, this tragic farewell, this is their true marriage. It's his final gift to her. It's just so heartbreaking, because it's only in death that he finally finds the peace and the conviction that he just couldn't hold on to in life.
And that's what makes this story so brilliant and tragic. It leaves you with this really powerful, lingering question. Who was society's final victim here? Was it the woman who was judged for her blood? Or was it the man who, for all his good intentions, just couldn't escape judging her? So that was our breakdown of Munshi Premchand's Aaga-Pichha. What a story. If you want to dive deeper into classic literature like this, stuff that really challenges and moves you, make sure to follow our channel. Thanks so much for joining us.